What's wrong? You won. I know, but where am I going to put all this stuff now? Hey, this is MichelleSpiva, your practical priestess of wisdom, and I want to welcome you to today's podcast of Wisdom Smack. Mwah! Join me on the flip as we get into talking about the casualties of winning. I'll see you on the flip. Winning. Oh, it just gets people so excited. And it is right up there with being successful, happily ever afters, and being in love. As a writer, fiction writer who specializes in romance writing and action, adventure, and all of that kind of stuff, I have become more aware of the aftermath of winning. And you know why? It's because even when I give people and they lived happily ever after, inevitably somebody comes by and asks for where's the next book or what happened to them or are they still happy? What's happening? Did they, and this is the thing, where are the babies? And all of that. And y'all do not laugh at me or my readers. I love my readers. I love what I get to do for a living and I'm very thankful for it. And if you want to see what I do for a living, yes, in the show notes, I always put a link to my alter ego so you can go check that out. But anyway, let's get back to this. So, as part of the aftermath of winning, especially when I am planning the next book after I've gotten them to the commitment of being in love forever, there inevitably become some things that have to change. And one of the things that I had to realize to expand the options of being able to give people great books and great situations was the concept of winning and losing. And that was that winning and losing happens in a battle or a campaign or a war. And I was like, wow, okay. And because I had to readjust, I had to then realize that there can be different types of winning and losing, and there is fallout, aftermath, and the like. And so when you're on the battlefield, there are going to be casualties. And what a casualty is it's a loss in battle. It's an injury. A lot of times it is talking about the excuse me, the military or troops, losses in numbers as they engage. It can even mean an individual killed, wounded, or lost in battle. And it also has this sense of an unfortunate occurrence, a casualty of war, an unfortunate occurrence. But when we're talking about winning and losing today, I want to kind of keep it in the most traditional way, the sense of the thing. Okay, so now that I have had to grapple with the concept of winning and losing and what happens after you get this big old win and everybody is happy, I had to be honest and realize that sometimes even when you win, you lose. I had a relative who got married a long time ago, but they got married, and all they had wanted to do was just marry their love, and they made it to the altar, and they were so excited until tax season came, and and I'm not laughing at them. I'm kind of just laughing at this situation because I was like, why did you not check this out? So going into the marriage, they came with assets and things, and they didn't check what status they needed to file, and thus our I mean, the military, excuse me, our marriage tax kicked in, and they were, oh my God, they were hotter than fish grease, baby, when it came time for tax season, and they were like, "What the what?" And we were like, "Well, hey, you're I's married now, is what you told us." And so that was a casualty. And yes, it was an unfortunate, unexpected even wound that they sustained in part of their win. And I I was taken aback because I was like, "Oh, got to be more careful and learn more." And then there's also these so we have the casualties, but then there's also what they would call collateral damage. And that's when someone is trying to win and do the most and others in the vicinity suffer because of this win lose battle going on that actually has nothing to do with these others that suffer. And so, with the casualties of winning, we have to realize that sometimes, even when you win, you lose, or even when you win, a lot of others can lose. I'm not going to go into capitalism and all of that stuff. I'm going to keep it light and give you guys some of the wisdoms that you can use to help you to plan better when you are going into a win lose situation. If I had my druthers, what I would do is I would love to always just have these positive sum games where everybody wins. I really would. And in a utopian expression of that, that can definitely happen. And it is something that as an author, I strive for when I am writing some of my other like epic and battle kind of things. In a lot of the times with the heroic journey, even though there is a win lose sequence, there's a reconciliation and a wrap up where we bring everything back to the start and we're like, okay, so this is what happened with this people, this faction and that. And we try to, if we're being nice, try to make everybody advance in a good way. And but that's fiction, and that's a world that we can control. In this real world, and I'm using that with quotes around it, in this particular reality, we don't necessarily have that kind of power because there are going to be things that happen that are out of our control. But hopefully, like I said before, when you're in a situation when it's a win or lose, which would be a zero sum game, meaning someone wins, someone loses, instead of a positive sum game, which means everyone wins, or you can have just a total negative game where nobody wins. But when you're in a zero sum game, I want to help you out here. So let's get a little bit more into it. Do y'all remember? And maybe you do, maybe you don't. But Oprah Winfrey had a talk show some years back, and she started something that people loved, and it was Oprah's favorite things during Christmas time. And she would uh, have a gift show, and it started to become the ticket of the season to try to get a ticket to Oprah's gift giving show. And there was one time when she partnered with a car company. I want to say it was Chevrolet or something. It doesn't really matter. But she partnered with a car company because they were launching a new car. And she had given people so much stuff on that particular episode that they were in tears, honey. I'm talking about those ugly, snot filled tears. And she came out in her grand finale, and they roll the car out. And she looks at everybody, and she looks at this blonde lady, and she says, "And guess what?" And the lady's like, "What?" She's like, "You get a car." She's like, "No." She's like, "Yes." Then she looked at someone else, and it was very dramatic. And that's what they're famous. And you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, right? So these people were winning. I'm talking about winning hard, right? Yeah. Until it was reported that many of the people in that audience that day that received those cars were never able to take possession of them because their particular states where they lived, there were fees attached to the transference of title and taxes. And a lot of them didn't have the thousands of dollars that it took to pay for the value of the retail value of being charged all at once. And it was a sad thing. And that was a casualty of quote unquote winning. Now, I am not trying to say that Oprah did a bad thing. She did a great thing, and the car company did a great thing. What I'm trying to say is that with this winning for these people who were, they tried hard to get those seats, and they won. No one can take that from them. There was a reverb or um an aftermath of that winning that we can take now and learn from those things in wisdom and in the hindsightedness of it. So one of the things I want to say is that even when you win, sometimes you lose. And I used to say sometimes, I kind of want to say, even when you lose, there's something you've got to give up. There are little proverbs and things that say, to that, that for everything you gain, you must give up something. And so let's try to look at it first and foremost that way, that when you win something, there is going to be some type of payment. There is really not, in this particular reality, there isn't really a circumstance where you get something for nothing. I'm hard pressed to find a way, where that happens. I remember as a kid, my parents feeding us and loving us and, taking care of us and trying to make sure that we were going to be able-bodied adults and good citizens to our communities. And that's when my mother would be like, that's what I'm trying to raise you to do. And she never asked us to, give her anything back in kind. But because there were so many of us, we understood the sacrifices she made. And thus, my oldest sister and I've told you guys many times about my first job being when I was 9. And don't come at me with the child labor laws, because it was, it was local and it was safe and all that kind of stuff. And it was a different time. But we would go and mow the lawns of our little subdivision neighborhood, and it was great until it wasn't. And when I say it was great until it wasn't, meaning that the toll on us on having to learn how to do business and all of that, it made us have skin in the game, but it also helped us to win in that we now had a insider's understanding of what it took to make your own way in this world from a very early start, that I've been able to take and turn into a great perseverance that I'm proud of, because of understanding that, yeah, I said I was going to go and do Miss Williams' yard. So that means I got to get up and do I got to get home and do my homework that Friday night so I can be ready on that Saturday to go get that yard done. And then when I come home, I have my chores, I have other things, iron my clothes, do the rest of my homework, and all that kind of stuff. And that was even as a little kid. I didn't understand it in the way I'm talking to you about it now, that even when you're winning, there are some casualties, but it did help me to get to this point where this wasn't such a bitter pill to swallow. So let's get back to this. So we've got people always wanting to get to the winning, and they never seem to look on the other side to say, okay, there's a toll to to pay to get on this bridge or this road of winning. And that means that you kind of, sorta, and I don't want to say you, I'm going to own it. We kind of, or I kind of shoot myself in the foot if I don't have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to feel and learn that in everything there's going to be a little bit of bittersweet at the end. And I would do myself a great justice if I plan for it by first acknowledging and understanding that it's there, and then seeking to do this. So let's get into that part. One of the things that people don't realize, that when they are quote unquote always winning, is that there is a toll of keeping up with perceived perfection. There have been many tragic stories of folks who the world thought they were perfect and that they were winning in every area of their life, only to find out that the weight of always trying to look like you were perfect or you were always advancing, never having to retreat. And you guys, there's a difference between surrender and retreat. Retreat is very good. Surrender is when you acknowledge that you lost this one. Retreat is very good in that it is just a circle back around to come back at it again with a different um, scenario or approach. Okay. But going back to this keeping up with perceived perfection, it has a great toll. And all of the wins that you gain could be the casualties if you don't realize that if I quote unquote keep winning, I must take care of myself and I must realize that this is not sustainable. And this is I'm not, don't write me saying, Michelle, you're just so nihilistic. No, I am not saying that it's not sustainable. I am saying that for every win there is a small loss, and for every big loss there is a great gain. And so both sides have validity. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were in a competition. They were like, I choked, I didn't do well, I lost. And I was like, you know what? No, no, no. Like on this channel, I talked about before with Eddie Murphy, that great thing that he said. He said, he was talking about a character, but I take it as this, that you want to be, if you lose, you want to be a loser who refuses to lose, and you want to keep going. And so there is validity on both sides of that coin, both sides of the pendulum swing, whether you win or lose. So I kind of want to, because I don't want to just give you the aspects of what you need to do when you lose. I want to tell you the aspects of what happens as I understand it at this particular time in my wisdom journey of what that means on the other side of winning. Okay, so um, there's another thing that I had to realize. Now, you guys, I've told you over and over again, I'm currently studying a lot of different strategy for some of the things that I'm putting in my one of my current writing projects, where there's a lot of fighting and battles and strategy and that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I learned was that even if you're on the winning side, there's always going to need to be a medic, a hospital. If you're in the fantasy world, a cleric, a priest, a paladin, or whatever. But in the real world, there's going to need to be medics and battlefield hospitals, doctors, and those types of things. Because when you launch an assault or go into battle, you're going to take hits. You're just going to take hits. It is what it is. And I don't know why it is that we want to anesthetize and put an antiseptic wash on what it means to win. A lot of times when you win, it is through a lot of injury and pain of advancing, of sustaining injury on the battlefield, of persevering until the end, of crawling, if you will, over to the finish line, of having a lot of skin in the game. And so winning can be very painful. And I have seen in my own life and the life of those I've been blessed to offer counsel and support to, that a lot of people don't realize what a win looks like. They think that they're being beat down and put upon when they're actually going through the winning process. But they don't realize that with a lot of wins come a lot of injuries, a lot of setbacks, and a lot of pain. And so there's that. And this is a big one. Now, this is a big one. As you know, I live in the metropolitan Atlanta area, and Atlanta is the intersection between Hollywood and New York when it comes to entertainment. We have a lot of movies filmed here. There are a lot of celebrities here all the time. And so there is a certain air of the mystical and the magical here. And what people don't realize is that when you get into that fame, that world of fame and notability, you're quote unquote seen as winning the game. But what people don't understand is the dark side, the backside of this, or the toll that has to be paid, is a loss of anonymity. Yeah, everyone starts to watch you. And in Atlanta, there are certain places here that we know that if you go there are going to be celebrities, there are going to be paparazzi, and there's going to be a whole bunch of jockeying and positioning to be seen, to see and be seen. And it's not necessarily pretty. Just being flat out honest, it's not necessarily a pretty thing to behold. And I can see sometimes where I've actually run into quote unquote celebrities unawares, and you can see it in their eyes. They're pleading like, "Please don't give me up. Please, I just want to make it through." And I'm like, "Yes, I definitely do that." And so that has been something that I have always been aware of since living here. Because I mean, it was kind of almost the first week I got here, I was running into celebrities and they're like, "You didn't see me. You didn't see me." I was like, "Okay, it's fine." But you do give up a certain amount of privacy and anonymity. You're not able to walk as freely. And so I want to say this is that with winning, another casualty could possibly be your ability to move freely about. You become more restricted in what you can do and how you live your life because you become the goldfish in the fishbowl in the center of a crowded room where everybody is looking at you. So there's that. One of the things that I also have experienced and heard, seen, witnessed is when you are a quote unquote leader going out there, a lone wolf, if you will, going out to make your way, that a lot of people will come behind you. And just because they're coming from behind does not mean they mean you well. And so the first people to advance, it is said that they don't make it because they take a lot of arrows from the back. And I like what Mark Cuban says, the billionaire and entrepreneur as well as um, sports owner. And he says, I still go first. He says, I just wear a good vest, meaning that he prepares, understanding that when he goes out there first, he is going to get those arrows, but he prepares as best he can by wearing some protection, but he keeps going. And I really like that because he was showing that he understood the wisdom of what it means to go out and win and some of the casualties that you will incur. And so let's really talk kind of about what this whole winning means because I like to go back to the birth of a word. And so of course it's kind of plain of of what you would expect, but it means to be victorious. And what it is it's a fusion of an old English word that's called winnen, WINNAN, and that means to labor, toil, struggle, fight for, or to work hard for, and Gwinnen, which means to gain or succeed by struggling, conquering, and obtaining. So even in that little word win, we have the genesis of the fact that you are going to labor, struggle, toil, work hard for, strive, and even fight for it. But when you do that, you will persevere, you will conquer, obtain, and succeed. And so, because of that, that is something that we're always going to have with us. There is really no way to do away with to do away with the hard side, the dark side of it. But what you can do is plan for it. And with regards to the conquering, there's something that Ralph Waldorf Emerson said that I really love. And I always think of him as kind and gentle, but he has some zingers in there. And this is what he said of nature. And he said this. He said, "Nature has made up its mind. What cannot defend itself shall not be defended." Let that marinate for a minute. Nature has made up its mind that what cannot defend itself shall not be defended. And what that means is that even nature is set up to understand that you are going to have to get engaged in battle. You're going to have to show your mettle and your worth, and you're going to have to defend yourself. If you and it's the law of nature, the call of the wild, that sometimes if you stumble and fall, there is no mercy. And when I look at that with regards to winning, this becomes very evident that it is the way of the world. I was studying, and I was trying to recall the book so I could tell you guys, and I just could not. And I was like, I don't have time to really go back through about 20 books and I'm looking at, but it was this, and there was this situation where they came into a country, and this was back in the day, and so this was not contemporary time, and they defeated a tribe. And when they defeated the tribe came to them, and they were like, okay, so um where do you want us? And they were like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, you defeated us, so you're getting ready to take care of us, right? And they were like, no, you're getting ready to be our, our collateral, and you're going to give us all your stuff. They're like, no, that's not how it works. And the people who won, who were European, I'm going to just say that so you can understand how they were looking at it. They were like, no, this is not how this goes. And they're like, oh, yes, it is. And what they said is when you come in and you defeat or conquer us, then you start to take care of us. And it was a wake up call for the winners because they were like, wait a minute, you mean that I don't get spoils? I get now burdens? And they were like, yes. And they would not budge. The tribe was serious. They were like, we're not doing all that stuff for you. You're gonna take care of us now. You came in, you messed with us, so now we're your problem. And I was laughing so hard. And then I remembered what Ralph Waldo Emerson said. He said that nature has made up its mind. What cannot defend itself shall not be defended. And thus, with the way humanity is, when there are spoils and victors of war or whatever, even if they were able to successfully enslave them or whatever, it was still going to be their problem. They were still going to have to take care of these people. And so I'm saying that to say that winning means there is an opposing force that has to lose. And that opposing force, a lot of times, needs to be dealt with or taken care of. And you have to be strong enough to figure out what you're going to do, because the situation with the tribe was that it was too many of them, and the conquerors did not want to mass murder people. But then what do you do with all these people? You then have to either take care of them. So what Ralph Waldorf Emerson is saying, that what can't defend itself shall not be defended, meaning that nature is not going to just say, oh, okay, you lost, so we're just going to take care of you. Because if that were the case, nothing would ever be encouraged to strive, to grow, to struggle, to learn, to win, to succeed, to overcome, and nothing would ever advance. But on the other hand, when you are conceiving of your great wins, understand that the casualties, if you don't kill them, you're going to have to take care of them. And that is a big part of what I have seen for myself and for others, where there is a big gap in understanding what it really means to win. And a lot of folks don't like it. They don't like having to be responsible for things that come as part of the winning of the battle. They don't understand that it takes a lot of times where you're going to continue to struggle, continue to work for, and even fight to maintain your success and maintain the gains that you win. And so that leads me to the last thing I want to say about this whole winning thing. If you are quote unquote trying to do what that song said that I talked about at the top of the segment, that all I do is win, 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 no matter what, is that you're going to have to continue to conquer. You're going to have to always be in a forward mobility of winning. And that means you're going to have exposure, not only with arrows in your back from quote unquote friendly fire, but also you're losing your anonymity. So you cannot move with as much stealth as you would like, because those who win get observed so that they can be taken down. Nobody is actually ever trying to win over an invisible nobody. They are always gunning for the top people, for the people that are showing themselves worthy because of their heroic deeds. And I always harken back to this understanding that everyone wants to be a hero, but no one wants to go into battle. And winning is not just a one-time thing. It is an ongoing thing that has major reverb, major consequences, and major aftermath. And so when you're looking at winning, take these things into account and be willing and ready to persevere, to understand that if I engage in battle, even if I win, there is a toll to be paid. I may have to kill or take care of what that aftermath is. I might Instead of being able to move stealthily and in the background, I might expose myself when I gain this win. And you have to be okay with that. And I have to be okay with that. And also understand that when you make your move, you reveal your position. And thus, you could possibly take hits from friendly fire from the back as you are plunging forward to win. And so, those are some of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about today with regards to the casualties of winning. Yes, it's great to win. Go out and win, but don't be stupid. Use some wisdom and count up the cost before you engage. So, guess what? Yes, my time is up. I thank you for yours. This has been MichelleSpiva, your practical priestess of wisdom, with another podcast of Wisdom Smack. Mwah! Check the show notes. And guess what? I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Bye. And that's going to do it for today's podcast of Wisdom Smack with MichelleSpiva. If you like this podcast, please help us get the word out. Like, comment, subscribe, and even share. And if you really like it, please help us continue to get the word out by considering using this show's link for Amazon. So when you want to go to Amazon and you do all of your general shopping, please use MichelleSpiva.com/AMZ. It's simple as that. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and this show might receive a little bit of commission that will go towards helping to further get these episodes out to you and to others. So thank you so much for listening. This has been MichelleSpiva with Wisdom Smack. Bye.